This is Michael Williams, founder of Start Speaking Training Center and creator of the PR90D Speech System. In the last video, we talked about an important technique or strategy, if you will, for improving your communication skills. This series is about how to improve communication skills. And especially if English is your second language, then you really are going to want to tune in to these little tips, techniques, strategies, and so forth. But it doesn't matter if you speak English, you're totally fluent, English is your first language, but if you want to improve your communication skills, that is, if you feel like, you know what, my speech is kind of choppy, I can't get my thoughts together, I don't do well in presentations, I don't do well in interviews, and so I really like to work on this, then these are some little techniques and things that can get you on your way. I also have a course that I just published in Udemy, udemy.com. And I have a special link below this video that you can go to check out that course where I get into detail on how to improve your communication skills, right? So please do check that out. But in this video, I want to kind of emphasize something I talked about in the last video about modeling, and that is practice. Practice, practice. I can't tell you how important it is to practice. You can watch these videos, you can watch any videos, right? It doesn't have to be these. But if you don't practice communicating, then it doesn't become a part of your memory. It doesn't become a part of who you are and how you communicate. So you have to practice, right? So I'm not just giving you this information for informational purposes so that you go, wow, okay, that's interesting. Or, yeah, that's good. Or yeah, that's right. No, I want you to transform your speech. How do you transform your speech? You figure out what you want. That is, you set the vision. Then you figure out what you need to do to reach that vision. Then you do it over and over and over again until you don't have to do it any longer, until it becomes automatic, until it becomes natural, second nature, until it becomes a part of your memory, right? Until it becomes a part of your memory. So how do you do that? Well, whatever it is that you want to learn, if you want to learn how to present better, if you want to learn how to communicate in conversations better, how to interview better, right? How to do meetings better, then you set that as your goal. You figure out what you need to do to master that skill. Remember, it's a skill. It's something you can learn. If it's that you want to learn to communicate better in English, then you figure out what you need to do. Then you practice it. How much? How long? Minimally 4 hours a week. You probably should be doing it 6 to 8 hours a week. That's what I advise people in my program. 4 hours is the bare minimum. But I really think that people need to be upwards around 8 hours a week or so, or more. And you constantly need to be thinking about it and working on it every single week. For how long? Well, they say that you can develop, now you've heard people say you can develop habits in 21 days. That's a myth, although you can, right? The truth is, it's somewhere between 16 days and around 254 days. That number is 254, 264, something like that. With the average being about 66 days, right? So you're looking at around half a month or so to a couple of months being the average to around 8 months, right? To around 8 months. So that means that if you're talking about speech, which is something that we do naturally, right? So it's going to be kind of challenging to develop a new way of speaking. It means that in fact, you're going to have to do whatever it is for more than 21 days, probably more than 66 days, probably something more like several months, okay? Several months to become fairly proficient at it. And different people learn things faster. Some people may learn things in a very short period of time. But the key is to practice, practice, practice. Now, it's very important that you maintain a high level of practice during the first part of this process, of this journey, right? You need to maintain a high level of practice initially, because that's when you're building those new connections in your brain, right? Those neurons are firing together. Whenever we do a new activity, it takes a lot of mental energy, right? Because it's something that feels kind of awkward. We're trying to figure out how to do it, how to say it. So it takes a lot of energy. So you're establishing those new connections, right? We're not trying to break down an old habit. We're trying to develop a new one. So you're establishing those connections. The neurons are firing together. And they're not very efficient. They're firing together, but they're not very efficient because it's new. It takes a lot of energy. The more you do it, the more they fire together, the more they wire together, the more efficient they become. And the more efficient they become, the easier the task gets until it becomes what? Automatic. So you have to maintain this firing process, right? This awkwardness during that initial period of time so that you reach a point where they begin to wire together and the activity becomes easier. That is, the transmission of data, so your mind is sending the signals, okay, do this, speak like this, move your mouth like this, breathe like this, right? So it's sending those signals. And the more it does that, and it gets easier and faster, so that when you reach a point that now it's starting to wire together, now it's starting to become automatic. But if you keep stopping during this initial process, it just makes it harder. It doesn't get a chance to wire together. Does that make sense? So practice, practice, practice until you no longer need to practice. So I hope that this has been helpful for you. So whatever it is that you're trying to do in terms of improving your communication, it's critical you figure out what you want to do, what your vision is, what your goal is. I want to become an excellent communicator. I want to become an excellent communicator in English. How do I do that? I model someone. I take some classes. How long do I do it? Well, I need to practice every day, every week, until I don't need to do it anymore. And that could take a minimum of 66 days and probably upwards near around 8 months or so. Okay? Practice, practice, practice. See you in the next video.